Okay, so this is my review on the director's cut of Watchmen. Now, this dives more deep in Rojak's psychological issues. So, it opens up with the comedian getting brutally murdered. And he's saying, in his last few words being saying, this is a joke. It's all a joke. Rojak is hunting the comedian's killer throughout the film when Watchmen are no longer a team anymore. This is years later after they went their separate ways. Lady Silk is having a romantic relationship with Dr. Manhattan, but he's not that into it anymore because he explains how, and on the Lady Silk's narration, it looks like the way he looks at everything now, it looks like he just doesn't look unrecognizable to him. Like he almost doesn't care for humanity. And he really doesn't at all. Because he doesn't understand anymore humanities anymore. Because he's become so advanced in them. It's that the one thing he doesn't have common advance in is understanding his human behavior and how they interact and stuff. And himself that miracles can come real see. So in the third act, when Lisa finds out that her father was the comedian and he raped his mother and she got pregnant with her, he says, if I admit I was wrong about there not being such thing as a miracle, will you stop crying? So the Watchmen team up like old days, except and they're fighting their former friend, who is now the bad guy, and and he also framed Dr. Manhattan for the nuclear explosion because Dr. Manhattan is nuclear. And he's also responsible for the comedian's death. Now, I really like this man. They took a good time fleshing him out. He was always kind of a jerk, but he was a likable jerk. And not as crazy mentally ill as Dr. Manhattan, because he pointed out that he could have vaporized him to stop him shooting a pregnant girl. And he says, but you didn't. You don't care about these humans. And that really made, it looks like that made Dr. Manhattan really think about himself for years and years. And Bojack, when he gets into prison, he explains to the psychiatrist what he really sees is a dog with a negative accident in its head. And like messed up things like that. And because he's a pretty butterfly. And he says, and the dad was figured out that he was just full of shit when he said he thought all these nice things. But really, he was sort of told what he really sees. And he told from his story how back then he let his victim live. He let live because he was soft. Then one day when this girl gets murdered and Rojak just snaps and brutally murders the guy in cold blood. And he says that's when there was only Rojak. That guy died that night. Because from there on out, there was only Rojak. And the third one looks like he really got Rojak, but it's his job to not get patients. But the way he looked at him looks like he doesn't think Rojak's really crazy and screwed in the head like people think that he is. He's just a person that's seen a lot of bad shit. And I like his friend that dresses up as the owl. He says, "Okay, Roger, you're not going to talk to me like that because you get upset because people think you're crazy, but you also get upset when but then you tell them shut up." Because in other words, you can't have it both ways. He has to listen. And then scene wasn't in the I like the scene when these bad guys go to the old retired superhero who's now retired, and the bad guys think that he's the guy that's flying that's dressed. He used to dress up as the Owl, but now it's Owl Junior, basically Owl and Junior. I think that's what his name is. So these goons decide to come to his house and start beating him to death, and the old man just fights back and he's looking back and flashing back to the glory days of when he was a crime fighter. It's actually a pretty beautiful scene, actually. And of course, it ends with him getting murdered, beaten to death, because he eventually saw the punch came, but he didn't see it coming, so he lost that battle. And then Al Jr., which is torn and loses it when he finds out his dad died, and decides to start being the goon really bad. And Rojak talks some sense to him. He says, "Not in front of the civilians." So he just stops and they just leave the bar. And when they're going through this computer, they figure out who really did Camille's ex-Watchmen member. So they go to the North Pole, where his lair is located. And the latest single document had to meet up with them and it's really cool fight scene. And of course the Watchmen lose. And Rojak gets murdered by Dr. Manhattan because he was really going to tell everyone, because he tells Owlman, "Never compromise, not even to drink again. That's the difference between you and me, always spend." And Rojak tells Dr. Manhattan, "So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, do it." And he does it, and that's no more Rojak. And the Watchmen are no longer more, and the bad guy won by creating peace towards everyone. And the Watchmen show looks like it's going to take off where the movie left off on. And honestly, it's kind of a shame that they didn't decide to film really? You can't. What's wrong with leaving a little mystery at the end? So yeah, it looks kind of bad, but I'm trying not to, be too negative. So yeah. Lady Silk and Alwyn are out there, and Dr. Manhattan's on the moon, and Rojak is dead. And the bad guy is also happy that he did what they did, but also kind of sad what he did also at the same time, because he felt like he betrayed him, which he kind of did, and now he's all alone now. And so this guy that works at his comic book, at his place, I think it's a comic book store, he decides that he will go to okay, now let's go through these old files, see if there's anything interesting in there. Maybe then we can print some paper. And it says, and this old man's like saying, "Are you nuts? There's nothing interesting now." And he picks up Road Jack's journal, which is literally, it's everything that he figured out in Watchmen, and he was documenting everything. So now the people are going to know the truth, what really happened, what caused the to be peace, not them because which just means there's going to be more chaos. So the bad guy didn't really win. Road Jack won. I just realized that the bad guy didn't win. Road Jack won. So I kind of like the little mystery at the end. It ended with some mystery, a little mystery, and I kind of like that. And so I'm thinking, also my ears are a little clogged up with water. So yeah, and that's my review on the director's cut of Watchmen. And I give it a thumbs up, and that's my review.